What if you had access to an unlimited amount of automation clips in FL Studio? We're talking you have access to a full preset bank. You could hit one button and create a randomized sequence, and all of that can be linked to other plugins and knobs inside FL Patcher. That is my newest VFX script. It's called StepShaper, and today we're going to go over a couple examples, how to use it, and then we're going to build our own patch inside Patcher from the ground up and use it to flip a loop. Let's get into it. All right, here we are in FL, and let's go through a couple examples of what this thing can do. So first loop sounds like this. And then when we put this elaborate patch on, we have a couple different effects. We've got like a bandpass, a pitch shifter, frequency shifter, and volume automation going on. And this is StepShaper. So let's hear what it does. Wild. Here's the second example. Some chords. And this one gets a little wild because it uses multiband delay. Let's hear it. Absolutely crazy for sound design. The last example is what you can do using it as a MIDI trigger. So this is the original patch. It's just a 3x os, single note. And when you add StepShaper to both like a pitcher using level scaler and you link it to destructor here as well, you get something like this. Crazy. That's a good example of the different ways that you can use it. Now let's see if we can go through how it works and then flip this loop. This is the full version of StepShaper. It has the different steps all listed out from top to bottom, just so that you can understand what's going on, because it's a lot to look at. From the top, you have the current slot. You have a save button, which saves this current setup to RAM. It saves the memory of the slot. This button is a randomize all slots button, or randomize all steps. All the knobs get randomized. Clear sets it back to initial values. Everything's just at 1. MIDI button is a MIDI trigger, which we just saw from the third example. And then this one is a randomized slot button. So it picks from the 100 presets that I built into the patch. Moving on, we have the amount of steps that the sequencer reads. We have the speed that it plays those steps based on eighth notes. And then percentage, this is how it calculates, it multiplies the speed based on this percentage. So you can go lower or higher than 100% and get some interesting syncopations or triplets. And then finally we have swing, which works exactly like FL's native swing, which you can find right up here, the main swing knob for FL sequencer in the channel rack. And then now, just to go over the actual steps per step from top to bottom, we've got a start position. This is just where the step starts at. And then this knob is how much it moves during that step. Is it going to go higher than the initial value, or is it going to go lower? Sorry, y'all. Feature run it here. Just forgot to mention, there are 2 versions of this script. First, you have the one that I showed initially, which is the mini version. It doesn't have any of the incredible amount of knobs and options on it. It just gets straight to the different presets and sequences and lets you randomize and not get too into the weeds. The second one is the full version, which we're going to take it from here and I'm going to explain everything. Okay, back to the video. So you have value initial at 0, and then the amount pushed all the way to 100%, and then the shape, which is saw, aka it's a linear line from 100% all the way up to 0. So that sounds like this. And you can see it on there, going from all the way up to all the way to 0. And then, so let's talk about the shape. The next section is 4 different shapes you can pick from. Saw, which is like linear, all the way from point A to point B. The second one is a square wave, so it holds it at top value and then holds it at the bottom value. The third one is a triangle wave, so it goes, you know, just like a triangle wave would. And then fourth one is like a shark fin kind of shape, which helps with kind of like some smoothing and interesting kind of shapes as well. And then that actually brings up my next point here with the saw wave. If you want to multiply it, this is the next section. You can turn this number up all the way to 4 even. And it multiplies the amount of times that shape happens in that step. So you can hear how it's making it double the amount of saw waves, which sounds kind of sick. Next, we have the tension. So if you go plus 10, it pushes the automation towards value 1. And if you go negative 10, it goes and pushes all of that automation heavily towards 0. So that can be really helpful for, you know, creating more movement and variation and stuff. And then lastly, this button is helpful for when you want to create your own sequences, or you want to kind of vary the current slot number that you have. So let's say we like this sequence, but we want to just switch it up a little bit. Let's turn on every other lock button, and then let's hit randomize. See, it randomized all the values except for the ones that had the bypass on. So now you can turn these off. It also randomizes the steps number and the speed number. So just helpful for creating randomized sequences as well. So let's go to 8 so it sounds similar to what we had originally. That's how you would use StepShaper to create randomized sequences and stuff. Let's edit this loop and let's make something cool. This is what the loop sounded like originally. Cool. So we already have this bandpass on. So maybe we start with this and then we go from there. Let's see if we can kind of create or pick a new pattern here, and then we'll move forward with other effects. I kind of like that one. All right, so we're going to turn that off. Also, forgot to mention, this is helpful too. At the bottom, we have a mix knob and a manual knob. So the manual knob is just a static value, whatever you put it to. You can automate that as well. And then the mix knob is how much of the sequence up here is factored in with the manual knob. So in order to like really dial this into the right frequency range that I want it to be, I'm going to pull these around here and get something that sounds a little better. That sounds nice. Okay. Okay, cool. Now let's pick a new effect. Let's say we could do like delay, and let's do the input knob. Just drag another VFX script in, and nice. And then we'll do another one on the time and see if we get something crazy. It might gargle it up a bit, but we'll have to see. Let's go. These are all square waves, so maybe we just like randomly pick different values on here and see what if we get something cool with it. I don't know. Let's do like 8 steps. That sounds sick. Now let's maybe turn up some more dry. That's cool. What if we turned this pan knob around? And then we use that. That sounds sick. All right, let's move on. Maybe we'll add a, I don't know, like a frequency shifter or something on. Let's see what that would sound like. Frequency shifter to the main knob. It's kind of cool. Just a little bit of movement going on there. I like that. What if we added like a destructor and we had like a vowel or some type of filter going on in it? So let's do like filter, try like a phaser. That's kind of sick. Here's another way we can use it. What if we did this on a gross beat? If you right click on gross beats grid here, you can activate the slot number and you can drag this on over to the slot number and then we can play around with it. Let's see if we use the squares, we can probably get something cool. Let's see if we do a turntablist trigger kind of thing. Okay, now let's move it around here. That's nice and easy. Let's just compress it. For ease of use here, let's just put a sound godizer on it. That just sounds so much different than the original loop. Let's hear what the original loop sounded like. And now we've got and it's all just timed to the original project tempo and everything. So the randomization is there, but it just completely flips up the loop and makes it something unique entirely. That is StepShaper. Hope you guys learned something and stay tuned for the next patch. I've got a couple more of these VFX scripts that are coming out soon. Couple more patches and stuff. If you haven't, check out my Patreon. I've got 40 different patcher racks also on there, a couple different sample packs. What is it, 1,000 samples now that are on there as well. So if you are in the market for that kind of stuff, follow me for more, and see you guys next time. Happy producing. Peace.